you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Living the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream.
What up, Dream Team? Coach D here, coming at you from beautiful sunny San Diego, and welcome back to the Living the Dream podcast. And in today's episode, we continue on with our review of the amazing book, Good Energy, by authors Dr. Calley Means and Brother Calley Means. This chapter was called Respecting Your Biological Clock, Light, Sleep, and Meal Timing. Modern life often pulls us away from our natural schedules, disrupting our circadian rhythms, which is a crucial thing for our overall health. Let me share an extreme example just to illustrate this point. Imagine being an ear, nose, and throat surgeon, just like Dr. Calley Means was. She was on call, covering 3 major hospitals. After being awake for over 24 hours, you try to sneak just a few minutes of rest, only to be called into an operating room where a woman's life is on the line after being stabbed numerous times. Amid the chaos, your primary thought is the desperate need for sleep. This scenario, while extreme, mirrors the daily disruptions many of us face, albeit probably on a smaller scale. In the past 100 years, our average sleep duration has decreased by 25%. In the past 100 years, that's not a long time, 25%. Historically, humans spent most of their time outdoors. They're exposed to natural light with no artificial light to interfere with our natural rhythms. Today, however, we know that that's completely different. We spend most of our days, 90 to 93% of our days indoors under artificial light, leading to a profound disconnection from the sun and the earth and nature, our primary sources of life. Our modern technology-driven culture has severely distorted our natural schedules. We no longer sleep or eat at the times that align with how our cells are biologically programmed to thrive. And this disconnection from our natural rhythms contributes significantly to what we can call bad energy. Let's talk about the impacts of modern life on our biological clock. For millions of years, our biological activity has been regulated by a pattern known as chronobiology, which is influenced by external light and food cues. These cues set off a daily domino effect, determining when we wake up, when we eat, when we are supposed to metabolize food, release hormones, when we express certain genes, and definitely when we're supposed to sleep. Humans are diurnal, meaning our biology is set for activity and feeding during the day and for sleeping and fasting during darkness. In the modern world, however, our behaviors have become completely desynchronized from our natural chronobiology. We eat late and expose ourselves to artificial light at night, causing mass cellular confusion and leading to various health issues. We already know this. Research shows that erratic sleep schedules, improper light exposure, and irregular eating patterns directly lead to mitochondrial dysfunction, also oxidative stress and chronic inflammation. Those 3 hallmarks of bad energy directly lead to these things. The importance of aligning our circadian rhythms with our lifestyle. Consider how an electric car battery needs a full 8 hours to charge just to run efficiently for 400 miles. If you only charge it for 6 of those 8 hours and expect to travel 700 miles, you're going to be very disappointed. Our bodies operate very similarly. Disrupting our natural schedules leads to issues like fatigue, insomnia, brain fog, sluggishness, and anxiety. Understanding and respecting our biological clocks is crucial for long-term health and energy regulation. Despite this widespread knowledge of the importance of sleep, we rarely hear about how crucial it is for us to get direct sunlight at the right times. This sunlight exposure is profoundly important for our metabolic and overall health. Yet most advice we hear about the sun is to avoid it. There are 3 key factors here. Understanding the schedule our cells are wired for comes down to 3 interconnected factors. The first is sunlight, the second is sleep, and the third is meal timing. Aligning our lifestyles with these natural cues can significantly improve our health and our energy levels. Look, we are made of sunlight. I know that sounds hippie, that sounds woo-woo, but just hear me out. Almost all of the energy that we consume from our food comes directly from the sun. Think back to what you learned about photosynthesis in school. The energy from the sun traveling 92 million miles through space is stored in the chemical bonds of glucose molecules that are generated in plants from photosynthesis. Even if you follow a more carnivorous diet, the animals you eat are often herbivores, so their energy can still be traced back to the sun. Photosynthesis also creates the oxygen every cell in our body needs to create energy. And since the dawn of life, a regular pattern of sunlight and a regular pattern of darkness has been a consistent environmental stimulus driving our internal biology. Human cells operate on a 24-hour sleep-wake cycle, functioning in 2 distinct modes: activity and feeding during sunlight and resting and starvation during darkness. Light exposure dictates which phase that we are in, and irregular light and dark exposure leads to dysfunction and disease. Sunlight entering our eyes acts as the body's quote-unquote on switch. The amount of light we get outside on a clear day is significantly higher than the amount that we get indoors with artificial light. One study showed that light intensity that is measured in lux is generally lower than 100 lux indoors, but can exceed 100,000 lux outdoors. That is a giant difference. Despite windows, glass still blocks many photons from reaching our eyes. So even if you have a lot of windows, the lux, those photons can't reach our eyes. Light is energetic information that tells our body what time it is and how our cells should function. Modern children now spend only about 1 to 2 hours experiencing light intensities greater than 1,000 lux. That's crazy. Children now only spend about 1 to 2 hours experiencing 1,000 lux or more. That's going to contribute to metabolic disease, obesity, vision problems, and so much more. The amount of time spent outdoors confers significantly protection against being overweight and developing chronic diseases. Spend more time outside. When light hits the photoreceptors in our eyes, it triggers an electrical impulse sent along from one cell to the next, reaching the brain's suprachiasmatic nucleus, or the SCN, suprachiasmatic nucleus, which acts as the master conductor of our body's functions. It's like our internal master clock. The optic nerves transmit the light signal to turn on the body's proper biology in the morning. Modern living, however, often prevents us from spending much time outdoors in the morning, and that on switch just doesn't get turned on like it should. Light synchronizes our internal cellular clocks, confirming the time and orchestrating the release of hormonal and genetic processes responsible for all aspects of our biological activity, including energy production, melatonin release, digestion and hunger, and stress hormones. So irregular photo signals, experiencing light during natural dark times, or being indoors when it is light outside, profoundly disturbs our metabolism, and it increases the risk for all sorts of bad energy diseases. So more light in the morning and less light at night signals the SCN what time of day it is. It's setting our body up to the time that our genetic and hormonal signals need appropriately. To regulate hormones, to regulate metabolism, even your weight and your disease risk, Expose your eyes to direct sunlight throughout the day and minimize light exposure when the sun is down. Obviously, you're not looking straight at the sun, but you're getting outside, you're getting these photons directly into your eyes. Directing energy. Experts studying sleep and diabetes have known since the 1960s that insulin sensitivity and glucose tolerance follow a rhythmic cycle throughout the day. The way that your body is able to be sensitive to the hormone insulin when you eat carbohydrates, the way that your body can maintain health when it comes to eating carbohydrates and being able to process that, this phenomenon is influenced by melatonin, a hormone secreted by the brain during darkness that induces drowsiness and affects insulin sensitivity. It's so important. Studies suggest that exposure to bright light during the day is crucial for maintaining insulin sensitivity. For instance, obese women who received bright light therapy 3 times a week for 5 months after daytime exercise, so these women that were overweight, obese, received this bright light therapy 3 times a week, and they did it for 5 months after daytime exercise. They saw a notable reduction in insulin resistance and fat mass compared to women who did the same workout without light exposure. What? One group got light after exercise, one group did not. The group that got light exposure was able to use their insulin properly, and the ones that didn't, their insulin did not function properly, being able to put that blood glucose from our food to where it needs to go inside of our cells. Whoa. Minor changes in light exposure, like an hour of light exposure in the middle of a dark cycle, like if you get an hour of light in the middle of the night, maybe you're watching TV at night when you should have all the lights down, or light deprivation for 2 days when you should be getting light. This stuff can significantly impact your insulin resistance, explaining why people exposed to light at inappropriate times are more likely to develop metabolic disorders like diabetes. Sunlight impacts our mood. We know this for sure. I lived in Oregon for 25 years and it rained, just drizzled, just a little bit of drizzle, always cloudy and gray, about 10 months out of the year. And that definitely has an effect on your mood. Seasonal affective disorder, SAD. Reduced sun exposure can trigger depression in some individuals, while in others, mood changes may be a little more subtle. Research links decreased sunlight exposure to lower serotonin levels, which regulate mood. More exposure to natural light correlates with higher serotonin levels. Natural light enhances serotonin receptor binding in the brain and can stimulate serotonin production in the skin. Increased serotonin signaling can also reduce appetite and improve your glucose control. So getting that light is going to help you with your mood. Getting that light is going to help you with your appetite. And getting that light is going to help you with your ability to control the blood sugar in your body after eating a meal. Let's talk about sleep. Sleep deprivation has severe consequences on our health and well-being. For instance, depriving a puppy of sleep, oh my gosh, I would not want to do this study. Depriving a puppy of sleep for just 9 days can be fatal. And reducing human sleep for 4 hours a night for 6 days can lead to prediabetes, meaning someone's blood sugar increases up to pre-diabetic levels after reducing their sleep to 4 hours just for 6 days. Oh, that's scary. Skimping on sleep impacts metabolic health, creating oxidative stress, mitochondrial dysfunction, chronic inflammation, those 3 things that contribute to bad energy, as well as your microbiome dysfunction, those little gut bugs in your body that help you do what you do to be a human being. Even a perfect diet cannot compensate for poor sleep, as lack of quality sleep is a significant quote-unquote danger signal to the body, promoting fat storage and disrupting proper metabolism. So poor sleep creates this vicious cycle. Bad energy from various sources like food, stress, or inactivity all negatively impact your sleep, which in turn then worsens metabolic conditions. And that is a downward spiral, a downward negative feedback loop. Sleep-deprived cells contribute to bad energy processes, affecting mitochondrial function, oxidative stress, and inflammation. Sleep deprivation also affects hunger and satiety hormones, increasing the likelihood of overeating and weight gain. We know this. When we get a bad night of sleep, we make worse food choices the next day. For instance, restricting sleep elevates the hunger hormone ghrelin, and it decreases the satiety hormone leptin, leading to increased appetite, especially for high-calorie, high-carbohydrate foods. You get hungry for all the stuff that makes you even more hungry. Ugh. Additionally, sleep deprivation has profound cognitive impacts. Extending periods without sleep leads to significant cognitive impairment, including microsleeps, periods of no conscious response during tasks. Research shows that residents working 36-hour shifts commit more serious medical errors and make more diagnostic mistakes than well-rested doctors. They make more mistakes, more medical errors, more wrong diagnoses when they're not slept. They are also more likely to be involved in motor vehicle incidents due to fatigue. Doctors often receive minimal education on sleep despite its importance. On average, medical students receive just a few hours of sleep education. Every medical leader should stress the critical importance of prioritizing sleep for preventing and reversing diseases. But we all know that our medical professionals, our nurses, they are, it's like in their system to not sleep and to grind and to grind. That's like that's a badge of honor for them. There are some key components of sleep here. Number one is your sleep quantity. 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep is essential for most people. Now, there are some people that are a little bit different, and there are some people that think that they can survive on less sleep, but there are way too many people that think they can survive on less sleep than there is actually people that can survive on less sleep. ATP production, your energy currency of your body, and your insulin sensitivity, these things are decreased with sleep deprivation. Short sleepers produce more insulin to achieve similar glucose goals, increasing the risk of insulin resistance and then in turn, prediabetes and diabetes. So one key component of sleep is quantity and the other one is quality. Minimally interrupted sleep is critical for metabolic health. Reduced sleep quality is linked to conditions like type 2 diabetes, obesity, things like heart disease, and even worse, in my opinion, Alzheimer's disease and stroke. Better sleep quality leads to better blood glucose management the next day. So in turn, poor sleep quality affects glucose responses by altering cortisol and growth hormone levels, impacting insulin sensitivity and metabolism. So essentially, sleep quality, even if you're sleeping for 7 to 8 hours, the quality is bad. Maybe you get interrupted. Maybe you're sleeping with the TV on. Maybe you're sleeping with some lights in the room. That has an effect on your chronic diseases, diabetes, obesity, heart disease, Alzheimer's. Minimizing interruptions in your sleep and maintaining a consistent sleep schedule are crucial. Getting up at the same time every day, even on the weekends, trying to go to bed about the same time every night. The research consistently shows that getting 7 to 8 hours of sleep and ensuring good sleep quality are vital for preventing metabolic dysfunction and maintaining your health. A little side note here on obstructive sleep apnea. Obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA, is a sleep breathing disorder affecting nearly 1 billion people worldwide. 1 billion. Is that 1 out of every 8, 1 out of every 9? It's characterized by daytime sleepiness, nighttime snoring, and periods of obstructed breathing during sleep. Obstructive sleep apnea significantly impacts sleep quality and quantity, which increases the risk of metabolic issues such as heart disease, heart failure, things like arrhythmias, type 2 diabetes, obesity, dementia, stroke. Obesity is a major risk factor of obstructive sleep apnea. Excessive tissue and weight in the neck, the throat, the lungs, and the abdomen areas, this can obstruct airways and breathing at night. As obesity rates rise, so do OSA rates. Research indicates a 55% increase in obstructive sleep apnea prevalence from 1993 to 2013. That 20-year period, 55% increase, paralleling the rise in obesity rates. Interesting. According to the Journal of American Medical Association, JAMA, patients with mild obstructive sleep apnea who gain 10% of their baseline weight are at a 6-fold increased risk of progressing to severe obstructive sleep apnea. So those who gain 10% of their baseline weight, 6 times increased risk of this progressive to severe case. Conversely, losing an equivalent amount of weight can result in a more than 20% improvement in obstructive sleep apnea severity. So directly correlated. The heavier you are, the more likely it is that you're going to have this. And the less excessive weight that you lose, the more you're going to get improvement from this. If you snore, have been told that you snore, have been told that you stop breathing or choke at night, if you experience daytime sleepiness or fatigue, if you have disrupted sleep, or if you face stagnating health progress, it is crucial to get tested for obstructive sleep apnea. If your significant other tells you that you are choking at night, this is so important that you get this checked out, because you are literally not breathing during the night. You are killing yourself at night. Your health, this is really, really important. You have to do this. If you're a really bad snorer, this is something you got to get checked out. It's not just a funny thing like, haha, I snore at night. It's a really important that you get this checked out and figured out. Weight loss can significantly reduce or eliminate obstructive sleep apnea for many patients. So weight loss should be your number one priority if this is something that you have. Highlighting the importance of maintaining a healthy weight for overall sleep and metabolic health right here. Okay, cool. In that side note, let's talk about consistency. Recent research has highlighted that the profound impact of maintaining a consistent bedtime on metabolic health is so important. Maintaining a consistent bedtime. Our biology is set up for regular, consistent rhythms, and disruptions to this can have significant consequences. There's something called social jet lag. Social jet lag is defined as a difference in bedtime and wake time between your work days and your days off. Social jet lag has been linked to a 2-fold increased risk of metabolic syndrome and diabetes or prediabetes in people under the age of 60. A 2-fold increase for people that during the work days, they sleep and go to bed at a certain hour, and then on the weekends, they give themselves social jet lag, a 2-fold increased risk of metabolic syndrome, diabetes, and prediabetes. Almost half of the US adults report experience at least 1 hour of social jet lag in their week. Night shift workers who often experience irregular sleep schedules also have significantly higher rates of type 2 diabetes. The health effects of daylight savings time further illustrate the impact of sleep consistency. The American Academy of Sleep Medicine advocates for eliminating seasonal time changes due to the associated health risks, including when we have daylight savings time, there is an increased risk or an increase in heart attacks, an increase in strokes, and an increase in mood disorders. And it's significant. Children and teens are particularly affected by inconsistent sleep schedules. During puberty, teens naturally want to stay up later and sleep in longer. But early school start times disrupt this. Insufficient sleep in teens is linked to insulin resistance, weight gain, and increased risk of type 2 diabetes. Delaying school start times to match teens' natural circadian rhythms has shown significant benefits in sleep duration, daytime sleepiness, and their academic performance. There are a lot of people right now that are pushing to get those times pushed back for when kids start school, but then you have to figure out all the logistics of when parents go to work and the bus schedules and all this and that. So it's been really, really hard to get schools to do this, but the data is there. If they start later in the day, they get better sleep duration, they get better, less sleepiness during the day, and their academic performance increases. If we talk about artificial light at night disrupts our sleep by signaling to our suprachiasmatic nucleus, the SCN, that it is still daytime, confusing our biological clock. This disruption can alter melatonin production, increasing inflammatory responses, and elevating the circulating stress hormones. Research shows that even light exposure as low as 200 lux before bedtime, so not very much, it can still delay melatonin release by 90 minutes and reduce melatonin levels by 71.4%. So just even a tiny bit of light at night, artificial light, usually it's blue light from above. They've done research where if you have a red light lamp, we have a Himalayan salt red light lamp, and it's lower. So we have it either down on the ground or on a shelf that's like about just below our eye height. They've shown that isn't as bad as artificial light. And this artificial light, even if it's only 200 lux, which is like nothing, it can delay that melatonin release by 90 minutes. Melatonin is crucial for inducing sleep, suppressing things like cancer, supporting your bone health, and acting as an antioxidant. It also provides protection for your brain, and it regulates mood and reproduction processes in the body. So disrupting melatonin production with excessive artificial light at night has serious health implications. So we have artificial light, we have consistency in your sleep, we also have meal timing. Properly timed light exposure plays a key role in regulating our circadian rhythms, but so does meal timing. Eating during the dark period of the 24-hour cycle, so when the sun is not up, this can desynchronize our metabolic processes, increasing the risk of metabolic problems. Research suggests that human circadian biology primes us to be more insulin sensitive and generate more heat from metabolizing food in the morning rather than the evening. Now, we have to do what works with our schedule. We have to do what works for us. If you're someone that has a muscle mass goal and you have a hard time getting food in, like there's trade-offs here. There's always going to be trade-offs. Nothing's going to be perfect. We all have the lives that we live. So for me, I don't get home until like 8:30 because we close up the group fitness studio that I coach at really late at night. So I don't get home till late, and the sun is definitely down, and I'm eating really late at night, kind of close to bedtime, but I try to get as much as I can a gap between when I go to sleep and when I finish my last meal as best I can. You have to do the best you can here. U.S. adults often display erratic eating patterns that are out of sync with our natural circadian biology. Modern Americans tend to eat up to 11 times per day. 11 times per day. What? With only 25% of food intake occurring before noon. Only a quarter of the food we eat in those 11 times come before noon. And 35% come after 6 p.m. More than half of us eat over a period of 15 hours or more daily. So when we talk about time-restricted eating or giving yourself an eating window, more than half of Americans eat over a 15-hour period when really you want to be keeping that closer to 8 or 6 for most people. And eating windows shift even later on the weekends. Time-restricted feeding is an approach to prevent this metabolic disturbance by aligning your eating patterns with our natural circadian rhythms. By practicing time-restricted feeding for just 4 days a week, you can reduce your fasting glucose, your fasting insulin, and the mean glucose levels in your blood, just 4 days a week. Fasting, the intentional restriction of food, has been a part of human history and biology for a very long time, promoting metabolic flexibility and optional functioning of glucose and fat burning pathways. So this might be something that you want to try out if you're looking for a little bit more metabolic flexibility. Modern lifestyles often keep us in a constant fed state, relying on glucose instead of fat for energy. This constant glucose intake leads to metabolic inflexibility, making it harder for the body to switch to fat burning. Metabolic inflexibility is linked to metabolic syndrome, type 2 diabetes, and chronic inflammation. So fasting helps the body practice switching between burning available carbohydrates and glucose when eating, and then switching to burning fat for energy when not eating. Insulin promotes fat storage and restricts fat breakdown, so fasting allows insulin levels to fall and fat to be mobilized for energy. No matter which fasting style you follow, reducing your daily eating window, avoiding food in the late evening, and eating your last meal before dark as best as possible as you can maybe be life-changing for you. So reducing your daily eating window, eating in a smaller time period, so maybe 8 hours, 6 hours instead of that 15 average. Avoiding food late in the evening. That's why there's this thing going around that you shouldn't eat past 7 p.m. or whatever it is. There's a little bit of truth to it, but it's so nuanced in that. But if you can avoid eating food too close to bedtime, too late in the evening, and eating your last meal before dark happens, or as late into the night as dark happens as you can, this can really, really help your health. Let's talk about resetting your rhythms. Western culture norms often conflict with optimizing our chronobiology, affecting our sleep and meal timing, and consequently our cellular function. Schools, the medical system, workplaces, these things frequently overlook the profound impact of factors of sleep. To generate good energy, you must become a counterculture circadian warrior, as Dr. Means call it, a counterculture circadian warrior, making difficult choices that may initially seem like sacrifices, but ultimately lead to better mental and physical health. You might have to go away from the normal, go against the grain, go against what the people in your life are doing for your mental and physical health. If your household or your living situation prevents you from getting enough sleep, you have to take steps to rectify that situation. If your partner stays up late watching TV, you got to do what you need to do to make sure that you are set up for success. For instance, if a pet disrupts your sleep, consider pet training or finding a new home in the garage for the pet, or whatever the case may be in a different part of the house. If a partner's loud snoring keeps you awake, you have to address the problem and consider, if they're not going to do anything about it, you have to do something about it. Change where you sleep, use earplugs, or whatever it takes for you to save your sleep quality. It has to go resolved. And if you leave it unresolved, not only is your partner suffering in their health, but now it's your health. For those struggling with insomnia, know that you're not alone. About 1/3 of all adults experience insomnia. That's crazy. Factors contributing to bad energy often overlap with those causing insomnia. Improving habits related to good energy can enhance your chances of achieving better sleep. For instance, consuming ultra-processed food not only contributes to metabolic issues, but also increases the likelihood of insomnia fourfold. Similarly, artificial light, chronic stress, and late night eating can contribute to both bad energy and insomnia. Good sleep is crucial for good energy, but other factors such as food, movement, stress management, and even things like toxin avoidance also play significant roles. If sleep is a challenge for you, focus on improving these other pillars of good energy, and you may find that other things fall in place. Doing so can create a positive, compounding cycle, making good sleep more attainable and enhancing overall health. Okay, so here are some tips. I want to leave you here with some tips for protecting your circadian rhythm. Number 1, understand your sleep patterns. First, it's really important that you find your baseline. A baseline assessment, you can do this by using a sleep tracker to monitor your sleep quantity, quality, and consistency. I really, really recommend the sleep tracker Oura, O-U-R-A. It's a ring. I've used mine for over 6 years now. The best thing about the Oura ring is just how consistently you wear it. There are other things like the Fitbit or the Apple Watch that are really good at this, but I just find that I don't like stuff around my wrist when I'm sleeping, and so I take it off. And the less consistent I am with wearing the tracker, the less consistent the data is. So it's really important that you buy a tracker that you're going to wear consistently, because your data is only as good as you are with your tracker. The ring is so low profile. It's really, really easy to charge. It only needs like 1 hour of charge every 5 or 6 days when it's new. And it really does give you a cool little report at the end of every day, and a report at the end of the week, and a report at the end of every month and season. And it tells you your habits. It tells you your trends and all these things. So get a tracker. It'll tell you your sleep quantity, your quality, and your consistency. And it even, most of your trackers will give you a score. So you can see how the score kind of correlates with how you're feeling over time. You just kind of look at this data with curiosity, and it does take a few months to really get your average. So when you first get your tracker, don't freak out if it doesn't give you the numbers that you're looking for. And even over time, if it doesn't give you the numbers that you're looking for, you just want to look at it with curiosity and then make little changes and see if that number is moving in the direction that you want it to. Even if it's a score out of 100 and you're all the way down in the 50s or 60s, don't freak out. If you do your changes and you see that you're increasing from your 50s to 60s to your 60s to 70s, you know that what you're doing is getting you better sleep quality and quantity. And vice versa, if your score is dropping, you know that you need to be making changes to whatever it is that you're doing, because whatever it is that you're doing is not helping you. So get a tracker so you can get your baseline assessment. Then with your quantity, you want to track your average sleep duration per week. Ensure that you're getting at least 7 hours per night, and then identify any outliers and where those come from. When it comes to the quality of your sleep, sleep trackers can show you how long it takes you to fall asleep, your sleep latency, how much time you spend awake at night, because there are phases throughout the night where you're going to be awake, even if you don't realize it, and it will tell you that. I have like 4 or 5 episodes every night where it says that I'm awake for like a couple of minutes and then I drop back into my REM sleep. It tells you whether you're getting adequate REM sleep and also deep sleep, the most restorative stage of sleep, which really helps you with your recovery. So it helps you identify factors like what stages of sleep you're in. It helps you to identify factors like alcohol. So if I drink alcohol, my score plummets, even if it's just a couple of drinks. It is one of the most impactful things on my sleep, and it's not even close. Late night eating definitely has an impact, or even like light exposure, that these things that might negatively impact your sleep, it will tell you. The trackers will tell you your consistency. So you want to check for social jet lag. It'll tell you like where your midpoint of sleep is and how that aligns with your chronotype. At least the Oura Ring does. And it tells you when to aim to go to bed in order to nail this, which is really, really helpful. It even sends me a notification right before it's time for bed. It's like, almost time for bed. Make sure that you start getting ready for sleep right now, it's really helpful. I ignore it sometimes, but it is helpful to see. And then it also gives you your strategy. So after understanding what your baseline is, you can set a consistent bedtime, and then you can set a consistent wake time, and you can work towards your 7 hours of sleep per night without getting any of those outliers that give you that social jet lag. So the first tip for protecting your circadian rhythm is understanding your sleep patterns and getting some sort of tracker to help you with your baseline. Number 2 is find accountability for your sleep goals. It's really important that you find accountability. First, you can set goals and you can share those goals. I know a lot of times I'll screenshot my sleep score and I'll post it on the Live in the Dream podcast Instagram story, which helps keep me accountable. I do this even if it's not a great score. I know a lot of people that I follow, some experts will only post their really, really great scores. And I'm like, come on, man, you're not always going to be sleeping well. You're not always going to be on fire unless you're Brian Johnson, who's the most tracked guy in the world and is trying to live to never die, which he's crazy. If you haven't seen Brian Johnson, not the Liver King, who's absolutely insane, don't follow the Liver King. This Brian Johnson guy is kind of a funny follow, though. He's spending the most money out of any person in the world to try to see if he can live and never die, which is just a crazy thought. But hey, he's got millions of dollars into it, so who knows? You can share these goals with friends. You can share these goals with a partner, or better yet, get a coach and share these goals with a coach, someone that is on your side who has experience and knowledge. Man, that is the gold standard right there. Commit to sending your sleep data either weekly or maybe even daily, depending on who you're checking in with, to be accountable. And then there are accountability services. You can consider digital services like Crescent Health that pair you with a sleep coach for additional support. So we have understanding your sleep patterns and getting a baseline. We have finding accountability. And number 3, create a light-free and sound-free bedroom. Create a sleep sanctuary. We did a really in-depth dive on 2 or 3 masterclass episodes in the past of how important sleep is on your fat loss goals. And then also pillar number 4, sleep and recovery of total wellness. If you can't find those, let me know and I'll send you the direct link. But you want to remove light and you want to remove noise. Unless you're using something like Brain FM, which I use every single night. It's an app that I've used for years and years and years. And after using them for years, I actually became an affiliate with them, and I still am. If you use the discount code Coach Damien SD, you'll get a discount off, or you get to try it for a month, and then you'll get a discount off your membership. I highly recommend checking out something that it gives you. It's not binaural beats, but it's science-backed music that helps put you into a certain brainwave state. And Brain FM at least has sleep, it has focus. Anytime I'm doing research for a podcast, I'm playing Brain FM. It has relaxation and it has meditation. So I use it every single day. I'm on like a 200-week streak or something. I don't know, something crazy like that. But try to block out any noise like there's a fan in my living room that will blow on the blinds, and it'll kind of make the blinds do little clicking noises. You don't want that. Or like if you have your AC on and it's loud and then it turns off, and then once the house heats up, it turns back on again. You don't want that AC turning off and on, off and on. You got to figure out, or if it's like a snoring partner, or if it's a pet, you want to make sure that you remove light and you remove noise. I know people that will even go as far as to put little stickers over the blinking light on the smoke detector or any electronics that they have in the room. You shouldn't really have electronics in your room. It should just be for sleeping. But if you do have anything that's like a blinking light, you want to make sure that you have maybe a little sticker over that so that it stops. You don't really get affected by that. Even a small light will affect you. Ensure that your bedroom is free of light sources like windows, alarm clocks, TVs, and I would suggest maybe investing in some blackout curtains. You can use earplugs and an eye mask. Just make sure that they're well-fitting and comfortable, and that's going to help block out any residual light or noise. But make sure that you have that sleep sanctuary. We've done some episodes on that. If you want to go really in depth, let me know. Number 4, get outside the first hour of the day. As soon as you can, get outside and get some sunlight on your eyes. Professor Andrew Huberman is huge on this. He probably thinks this is one of the number one things that you can do for your health. Morning sunlight. Expose yourself to natural light within the first hour of waking to help set your circadian rhythm. Direct path. Make sure that there's a direct path for sunlight to reach your eyes. You don't want to have windows or sunglasses in the way. Maybe wear some weather gear. Invest in outdoor gear that is suitable for all weather conditions so that it can help you get outside. You don't want excuses for rain or snow or anything like that. You want to try to get outside even with the weather. And then some implementation ideas. You can walk around your yard while brushing your teeth. You can take a walk in the morning with your morning coffee. Or you could have your first morning call, whatever it is for work, outside. Even 10 minutes outdoors in the morning can significantly help synchronize your body's internal clock. Number 5, you can spend significantly more time outdoors during daylight hours. I know this is really hard for a lot of people, but the best you can take frequent outdoor breaks, schedule regular breaks throughout the day to go outside. Take pride in increasing the total hours that you spend outside. Maybe make it a game with yourself, especially in natural areas, things like parks or forests, which offer additional health benefits. And then move indoor activities outdoors whenever possible. So things like eating meals, take your lunchtime out in the park, reading, taking phone calls. Definitely, not only can you get your phone calls outside, but you can get your steps in by walking around, or playing with your kids. If you have games that they play inside that you can take outside, that might be a good idea. Just kind of get creative to maximize your time outside, and maybe make a game with yourself and see like, oh, I did it 2 hours today. Maybe I can make it 2 hours and 10 minutes tomorrow. Or my average for the week was 1 hour a day. Let's see if I can increase that average. By following any of these tips, you can better align your lifestyle with your natural circadian rhythms, promoting better sleep, improved energy, and overall health. So in conclusion, in this episode, we've dived into some critical things respecting our biological clocks for maintaining good energy. We've explored how light, how sleep, how meal timing significantly impacts our metabolic health, and how our modern lifestyle often disrupts these natural rhythms. The key takeaways are number one, sunlight. This is essential for setting your body's internal clock, regulating hormones, and maintaining metabolic health. Not that artificial light that we're all getting. Aim to get outside in the first hour of your day and spend more time outdoors throughout the day. Number two, sleep. Both your quantity and your quality are crucial. Aim for that 7-hour minimum and be consistent with your time that you go to bed and the time that you wake up. They say that the time you wake up is a little more important, but try to do both. And try to get uninterrupted sleep each night. Consider using a sleep tracker to monitor your sleep patterns and make necessary adjustments. Number three, consistency. Maintain a regular sleep schedule, even on the weekends, to avoid that social jet lag that we were talking about. And number four, your meal timing. Align your eating patterns with your natural circadian rhythms. Front load your day with good food. Get that protein in early. Particularly get your higher carbohydrate foods early and avoid late night eating if you can. By making intentional changes to how we manage light exposure, sleep, and meal timing, we can significantly improve our energy levels and overall health. Remember, it's about making small, sustainable adjustments that fit into your lifestyle and then building and stacking upon those small changes and adjustments. We are cruising through this book, so join me next time as we continue to uncover more ways to harness good energy and live a vibrant, healthy life. Remember, those small changes, they can lead to big results. Keep growing, keep learning. And that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Please share the knowledge that you gain with your friends and family and hold each other accountable. If you enjoyed this content, it helps a ton if you could post on your social media stories a screenshot of this episode and include one takeaway that you learned. And make sure that you tag me and share your journey. Tag me at livingthedream_podcast or at Coach Damien_SD and let us know how this episode benefited you. Let us know what we missed. Let us know what we got wrong. Tell us what you thought about what we discussed here on this episode. We want to know. Message us if you have any suggestions or tips that would help your Living the Dream team that we can discuss on future episodes. I will be right here with you working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.